Hello, you're watching Race to Power. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Tonight on Race to Power, we talk about Project Freedom, the so-called mini war that Donald Trump has called the Iran war as, and why the rhetoric is drowning out the real impact of the conflict. And we also get you all that has been happening here in India after the big political earthquakes in the state of West Bengal as well as Tamil Nadu. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has refused to resign, while superstar Vijay is now looking at potential allies to form Tamil Nadu's next government. We get you all of this, but first let's talk about the Iran war. A war of rhetoric has begun between Iran and the United States. Donald Trump's Project Freedom in the Strait of Hormuz has turned up the heat in and around the narrow waterway. The American president has described it as a mini war, while Iran says that it has not even started yet. The U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth addressed a press conference today and gave the latest updates on Project Freedom. He said the Strait of Hormuz is completely open and that the U.S. commercial vessels, along with destroyers, have already passed through the waterway unharmed.
2 U.S. commercial ships, along with American destroyers, have already safely transited the strait, showing the lane is clear. We know the Iranians are embarrassed by this fact. They said they control the strait. They do not.
Now remember, this comes after the United States claimed to have targeted 6 small Iranian boats and intercepted cruise missiles and drones. However, as per the Iranian media, the IRGC has imposed a new control zone in the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian line of control reportedly rests between Mount Mubarak in Iran, extending to the south of Fujairah in the UAE. This is how the battle lines are currently drawn around the Strait of Hormuz. The United States claims control over the waterway's exit, while Iran claims control over the entry from the Persian Gulf. This leaves commercial vessels guessing the safest way out of the contested waters. Donald Trump has resumed his rhetoric of warnings. Remember, he has said that Iran will be blown off the face of the earth if it attacks American ships. Meanwhile, when Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai was responding to a question about making a compromise with the US, he said Iran is also a superpower. Now, the battle of rhetoric comes at a time when both sides have refused to accept peace deals proposed by the other. Warning shots have now been fired, but will they push both sides toward a deal, or will the war now resume? That's the big question. All right, I'm joined by Douglas McGregor, former senior advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Defense and a Gulf War combat veteran. He's joining us live on the broadcast from Washington, D.C. Mr. McGregor, thanks very much for joining us on WION. Can I start by asking you what you think of Project Freedom? Is it really as free as Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth would want the world to believe? Is it free of missile attacks, of drone attacks, and the underwater mines that IRGC Navy has laid out?
No. In fact, I can't confirm any of the claims that have been made this morning by the Secretary of War. I think we're exaggerating our importance in this matter. Last week, the president was trying to make up his mind about what he wanted to do, and I think this is a short-term solution before he resumes the start of the war. And I don't see any evidence that this is having the impact that he says it is. In fact, U.S. Central Command has issued guidance to any tanker who wants to try and come through the strait to try and hug the Omani coast. And of course, there's very little enthusiasm for that among the tankers because you could easily run aground. So I'm not quite sure what they're referring to. What we know is that, yes, he attacked some boats in the strait, but these were civilian vessels. They had nothing to do with the IRGC.
Which is what I was coming to next, Mr. McGregor, that there has been an escalation as far as civilian infrastructure is concerned. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself has condemned the attack on the civilian infrastructure in the UAE, as well as the injuries that have taken place with 3 Indian nationals being injured. Do you see this now as a major escalation which will intensify and deepen further?
I anticipate that, yes, this will escalate. And keep in mind that the United Arab Emirates has been perhaps one of the strongest supporters of Israeli interest and has made itself a permanent enemy of Iran. So it's not surprising that the Iranians took these steps, and I would expect to see more destruction in the future. The problem for the United Arab Emirates that has now left OPEC in order, I think, to secure funding from the United States is that the United States Armed Forces cannot protect the United Arab Emirates, or for that matter, anybody on the west coast of the Persian Gulf. And that's the problem. We just can't stop the Iranian attacks.
Multiple American experts and veterans like yourselves, Douglas McGregor, they say that, look, it's Iran which is escalating this entire conflict by attacking civilian infrastructure, and America is only protecting it. Do you buy that? Because the counter argument to that is it's the United States and Israel that started this war, and Iran is just retaliating now.
Oh, absolutely. The United States and Israel did begin this war. It was ultimately started first by Israel, and then we were drawn into it by the Israeli government. And President Trump began by telling everyone that he was going to end Iranian civilization, ultimately destroy the state, its population, everything. And he's vacillated between these outrageous statements and confusing actions. And there's been no real diplomacy. When we sent people to meet with the Iranians, the only thing they did was represent Mr. Netanyahu's demands. And naturally, Iran will not accept those demands. So at this point, there is no diplomacy. I don't really see any viable strategy. There is only an emphasis on the use of military power to punish and destroy Iran. It's not going to work. And the Iranians view this, for obvious reasons, as an existential war. They are going to use everything they have to protect themselves and destroy their enemies.
You talked about strategy, Mr. McGregor, and a lot of people say that, look, Donald Trump's recent terminology that he's used for this conflict has been mini war, and he's been using such terms for the past several weeks into this conflict. Do you see this as a strategy, or do you see this as, just random terms that are being used to escalate United States as well as Donald Trump to a higher pedestal in this conflict, considering the fact that US itself has faced losses?
I think President Trump wants to minimize the war in the view of the American people. He wants to convince Americans that this is not a major war and that it's under control and he's managing it. Effectively, I think that's what he wants to do. But the truth is, our efforts to defeat Iran, to regain control or to take control of the Strait of Hormuz away from Iran have failed. And it's humiliating for President Trump, who promised, as I said earlier, to utterly destroy Iran. Iran is not destroyed. Iran is quite capable of striking back, even though it spends roughly 1% of the money that we do on national defense. It's turned out to have become very, very powerful in its exploitation of overhead surveillance and its strike weapons, and we don't seem to be able to overcome that. So I think everything that President Trump is doing and saying is trying to disguise the humiliation and the defeat to this point, and to create the illusion in America that this is somehow or another a minor event that's under control. But we all know that this has created a global crisis. It has disrupted the energy supply system. It's now destroying the supply system. There's been an 84% increase in crude oil price all over the world. This is nothing short of a major disaster. He's just trying to make it seem smaller than it is.
You know, it's interesting you say that because you're somebody who's also served in the first Trump administration back in 2020. So you would understand, how he works, although it's, he's very unpredictable and it's hard to say what move he will make next. But what do you think could be his next path or direction that he takes in this conflict? He's been undermining it, but the next few weeks and months, what do you expect?
Well, I think the next thing we should expect is a massive air and missile assault launched by all the forces that we have in the region right now against Iran. The force that is there today is actually larger and more powerful than what was there during the first phase of this conflict. So that's what I expect. There is no alternative for President Trump. The only viable alternative for him is to essentially announce that this has been a failure. He doesn't want to do that. To announce that on humanitarian grounds, this war needs to end because it's harming the entire world and the global economy. But he won't do that. He's not going to disengage unless he can find a way to create the illusion that he is victorious. I don't see how he does that. I think things are going to get much worse from here.
I also want to quickly shift our focus to the kind of domestic pressure Donald Trump is facing. You know, there have been, of course, Democrats that have been upping the ante against Donald Trump as far as this war is concerned. But, as far as that deadline was concerned, there was no substantial movement or action that was taken by the Democrats. Why do you think that has happened?
Well, the Israel lobby and its billionaire agents in the United States effectively own both Congress and the White House. And as a result, there's no serious resistance to this war against Iran. This is something the Israelis have been planning on and trying to build toward for 30 years. They've now gotten what they wanted. They have control of the United States armed forces in a war against Iran. And they're not going to give it up, and they're not going to allow any of the people that are effectively on their payroll to back out. Now, you're right, the situation inside the United States is deteriorating, but it is not deteriorating as quickly here as it is in Europe and parts of Asia. But it will. We will catch up with the rest of the world in terms of prices and inflation, shortages. Those things are going to hit very hard, but they haven't really struck yet. But I think President Trump knows that, which is why he's going to be forced to escalate and make a final attempt to try and destroy the Iranian state. I don't think it's going to work.
But isn't it very convenient for the Trump administration to say that, look, we were pulled into this conflict because of Israel? That's like saying we witnessed somebody taking a bribe, but we didn't report it. It's almost like saying that you're part of it, you're attacking it, which means that you took a conscious decision to be part of it.
Well, that's true. And right now, in the view of the American public, President Trump and the people in Washington increasingly look like willing puppets of Greater Israel, that we have signed on to make the Greater Israel Project work, that we have committed to destroy all of Israel's enemies in the region, to fight against anyone who opposes Israel. This has just about nothing to do with American national interest, and that's beginning to sink in. But nothing will change until the pain here inside American society becomes far, far worse than it is today.
All right, let's wait and watch how this moves forward and whether there is an easy way out of this conflict for the United States of America and Donald Trump, especially ahead of the midterm elections that are coming up in November. I leave it there. Douglas McGregor, thank you very much for joining us on Beyond and sharing your perspective.
Sure, thank you.
Well, shifting our focus now to India, West Bengal has turned the page on the Mamata Banerjee era. The Bharatiya Janata Party has secured the historic mandate in a state which was once considered to be the toughest political frontier. The final tally has settled with 207 seats to the BJP. The party's leadership is now mulling its next move, which is to name the Chief Minister of West Bengal. BJP's parliamentary board has appointed Union Home Minister Amit Shah as the observer. Meanwhile, outgoing Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee held her first press conference after the loss. She levelled serious charges of interference on the Election Commission of India and the central government. In fact, she has refused to resign from the Chief Minister's post.
কেন কিসের জন্য আমরা তো হারিয়ে নিয়ে যাব হারলে আমি যদি শপথ দিতে যেতাম তাহলে আমি রেজিগনেশনটা করতাম এখন তো কোশ্চেন ডাজন্ট অ্যারাইজ নাও অলসো আই ওয়ান্ট টু সে দ্যাট we didn't lose the election. It is their forceful attempt to defeat us. Officially they may, through election commission, can defeat us. But morally I am telling you that we won the election.
Now, Mamata Banerjee's refusal to resign holds little value when it comes to the Constitution of India. The term of West Bengal's incumbent assembly ends on the 6th of May. India's constitution has an Article 164. It gives the power of appointing the Chief Minister in the hands of the governor of the state, who will invite the Bharatiya Janata Party to form the next government. And after this, Mamata Banerjee's term as the Chief Minister of West Bengal will automatically end. Amit Shah will now head to Kolkata, where a body of newly elected BJP MLAs will approve the proposed name. The oath-taking ceremony of the new Chief Minister of West Bengal will take place on the 9th of May. During the campaign, remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he is the candidate on all 294 seats of West Bengal. Shubhendu Adhikari's name is being discussed as the potential chief ministerial candidate, especially after he defeated Mamata Banerjee from Bhawanipur constituency. But when it comes to the BJP, nobody can predict who really will be the next chief minister. If we go by history, the BJP is perfectly capable of announcing an absolutely unknown, unexpected name as the chief minister of the state. Remember, when the BJP had won elections in Delhi, they had announced a lesser-known leader, Rekha Gupta, as the chief minister. Before that, in 2023, the BJP sidelined party veterans in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. They appointed Bhajan Lal Sharma in Rajasthan, Dr. Mohan Yadav in Madhya Pradesh and Vishnu Devsai in Chhattisgarh. Leaders like Vasundhara Raje, Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Raman Singh were all absent from the picture. The decision was described as a generational change in states where the BJP has traditionally been strong. But West Bengal is different in this regard. Shubhendu Adhikari has been BJP's main man in the state, and he's been the most vocal voice against Mamata Banerjee since 2021. And well, let's talk about Tamil Nadu. Actor-politician Vijay's TVK party has scripted history in Tamil Nadu polls. On its electoral debut, the 2-year-old party has emerged as the single largest party in the state, fighting alone up against two strong alliances headed by the Dravidian parties DMK and the AIADMK. The TVK has bagged a whopping 108 seats in Tamil Nadu's 234-seat assembly. It's being seen as a massive victory with almost no precedent. Remember, since the 1970s, Tamil Nadu's political landscape has been dominated by the DMK and the AIADMK. These Dravidian parties, which have ruled Tamil Nadu over the last 5 decades, have played a major role in the formation and fall of coalitions that have ruled India. Having emerged in 2024, Vijay's party has defeated two established giants that have decades of experience and legacy. Let's give out some numbers for you to put Vijay's victory into perspective. The TVK has won 108 seats. In fact, the party pushed the state's incumbent DMK to a distant second with 59 seats. The AIADMK, meanwhile, is at the third place with 47 seats. India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, that contested 20 seats in the alliance with the AIADMK, won only 1 seat. On the other hand, India's principal opposition party, the Congress, has contested 28 seats in alliance with the DMK, and they won only 5 out of it. The Congress has acknowledged that its decision to stay within the DMK-led Secular Progressive Alliance went against the sentiment on ground. In fact, the All India Congress Committee in charge for Tamil Nadu, Girish Chodankar, said that the party's local leaders in the state had suggested that they should have tied up with the TVK instead. He said that before the election, Congress grassroots leaders said that allying with the TVK could have earned the alliance 180 to 190 seats. So it seems Congress workers had predicted Vijay's success in Tamil Nadu much before the results came in. Now, riding the Vijay wave, debutant candidates from the TVK defeated incumbent and former ministers, as well as political heavyweights who have decades of political experience. Vijay's charisma and stardom built over his 3-decade-long film career. His appeal among the younger voters and the women, and voter fatigue with Dravidian parties, as well as the superstar's unique campaign style, have all contributed to the massive victory that TVK enjoys today. While Vijay's TVK has made electoral history on its debut and received overwhelming support from the masses, remember the mandate is not without its challenges. Despite this blockbuster performance, Vijay's party has fallen short of the magic number of 118 seats that are required to form a government in Tamil Nadu. Though Vijay has the popular mandate, forming a stable government with like-minded partners will be his first major test. The All India Congress Committee General Secretary K.C. Venugopal has signalled that the party is open to talks with the TVK. He said that the party would factor in the political scenario in Tamil Nadu and decide on their next move accordingly. Meanwhile, there's been a public show of cordialness between Vijay and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. Rahul put up a social media post saying he had spoken with Vijay to congratulate him, and Vijay responded with a sincere thanks and spoke about collective cooperation. Was that just common courtesy, or could it be a hint of things to come? We'll get to know that soon. Meanwhile, Vijay has not distanced himself from Tamil Nadu's Dravidian political history. Earlier today, he was seen paying a floral tribute to the architect of Dravidian movement, Periyar. This may signal a willingness to join hands with one of the Dravidian parties as well in an effort to form a stable two-party governing coalition. But as Vijay has yet to announce his decision, we'll have to wait and see what happens next. There's an old saying, every vote counts. Sometimes, especially in vastly populated countries like India, that adage might seem unbelievable. However, it has just been proven true. The 2026 Assembly election in Tamil Nadu has produced a context that was decided by a single vote. That's right. Now, this impossibly close contest took place in Tamil Nadu's Tirupattur constituency. It was the seat of DMK stalwart K.R. Periyakaruppan. He first won the constituency in 2006 and held on to it for 20 long years. But on Monday, that's the 4th of May, he was finally defeated by just one vote. Periyakaruppan, who was a minister in the outgoing DMK government, was defeated by TVK's Sinivasa Setupatiyar. The 38-year-old Setupati took down 66-year-old political veteran Periyakaruppan by a single vote and ended his 20 years in power. Back in 2021, Periyakaruppan had retained the Tirupattur seat comfortably, defeating his then opponent by a margin of over 40,000 votes. But 5 years on, the TVK candidate first nullified the veterans' voter base and then clinched victory by the smallest margin possible. This electoral battle can be proved. In fact, it has proven that even one vote can make all the difference in the world. All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. As always, we will keep getting you analysis from around the world on the major political developments. For now, thank you very much for joining us. Bye-bye.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world. A 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at